Good morning, good afternoon, or good night, and welcome to Command Power, the show in which we discuss all things Magic the Gathering with a focus on Commander. And today we have another episode in our Spoiler Spotlight series in which I talk about, well, spoilers and tell you what my thoughts are on them. But before that, just a quick reminder to click subscribe if you enjoy my videos. We're well on our way to 1 million subscribers and your support means everything to me. And today we're going to be talking about the Skullspore Nexus. For 6 colors and 2 green, it's a legendary artifact that says this spell costs X less to cast, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. Whenever one or more non-token creatures you control die, create a green fungus dinosaur creature token with base power and toughness, each equal to the total power of those creatures. And 2, tap double target creature's power until end of turn. So this one is a really interesting card. I actually think it's very strong. I've seen a lot of comparisons to something like the Great Henge, but really it doesn't have anything in common with that other than the mana reduction ability, so I don't think we need to spend too much time on that. However, this is a very good anti-board wipe, anti-removal effect in green. It is a little bit worse against board wipes in a way, because unless you have trample or something, you're just going to end up with a very big token, which is then more vulnerable to spot removal, seeing as all the creatures kind of combine into one if all of them die at the same time. However, if you have creatures dying at separate times, they're each going to make their own token. I think that's often going to be what you're going to want, because it's obviously much better to have a spread out board most of the time than to have one huge token which can then just eat a removal spell. So yeah, in that sense, this is less good against board wipes than against just spot removal. It is incredibly good in a War of Attrition where people are just swinging in with big creatures. In a battle cruiser kind of meta, this card is going to be fantastic because they're essentially going to have to remove each one of your creatures twice, maybe not exactly that depending on how they combine. But yeah, you're basically going to be able to have a lot of resiliency when this is on board, and it can also come down very cheap. I actually really like the activated ability as well, because late gamers should be fairly easy to leave 2 mana up, and if you do, you can just basically make their spot removal really awkward. Say you have a really big creature out and they try to remove it because they have to, because it's a game-winning threat. In response, you can just double its power until end of turn, and then you're getting double that creature's power and stats, which is really powerful. All the usual things apply, of course. This doesn't work against exile removal, so stuff like Farewell, Path to Exile, Swords to Plowshares, all of those kind of things are going to really make you sad if they're used on your creatures. But you know, that applies to so many different cards. We can't evaluate this based on that fact alone. I still think it's a very strong kind of effect that's going to be particularly good, as usual, in decks where creatures are hitting the graveyard very often. Not to beat a dead horse, because I always talk about this deck, but for Henzi Toolbox Torre, this is fantastic. It's basically a meme at this point, how every card is good in Henzi. This is going to be very good in Henzi because it's going to give you some staying power. That deck often struggles, in my experience with it, by having a lot of explosiveness and a lot of ETB effects, but not having much left behind when you end the turn, because all the creatures you've played have blitz and are therefore going to be gone by the end of turn. The fact that each creature that you blitz is going to either replace itself or combine to make a really big token left behind is really good in terms of being able then to defend and to have a board that isn't just gone at the end of turn. So this seems really good in that kind of deck. In any deck that's looking to sacrifice creatures, this is going to be very good. Something like Slimefoot and Squee seems like it would probably enjoy this, or any kind of Aristocrats deck that's running green. There aren't necessarily that many of those, but there are a few. As we mentioned, if you get to trigger this multiple times per turn instead of all at once, it becomes much more powerful as a token generating machine. So Aristocrats decks which have more control over their sacrifice abilities seem like a good place for it to fit in. In any case, this seems like a powerful effect, not broken or anything, but it seems well balanced and it should be a fun card to play around with, so I'm looking forward to it being released. So there you have it. Those have been my thoughts on this new spoiler. What do you think about this card? Please let me know in the comment section below. I read all comments and respond to all of them too. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to click like or subscribe. It really helps the channel. And until next time, take care. Woo!